You're watching HuffPost Live. I'm Ricky Camilleri. She's been in front of the camera since she was 3 years old, a veteran actress at just 28. I'm actually older than her. And now Michelle Trachtenberg is taking on the role of Marina Oswald, Lee Harvey Oswald's wife, in the National Geographic Channel's new film, Killing Kennedy. She's here with us today. Welcome, Michelle.
Hi, how are you? Thank you.
In the film, you portray Marina Oswald. Was this a daunting task for you to take on?
Incredibly daunting. Marina, as I'm getting all choked up about it.
Is that what that was?
Yeah, that was what that was.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't me just clearing my throat and blaming it on that. Marina is actually, of the main 4 players, she is the only one who is still alive. Obviously, JFK and Jackie and Lee Harvey Oswald are no longer here. So it was incredibly challenging to think that this woman who sort of lived in or fell into an infamous life was going to possibly be watching the movie and judging, you know, my performance of her life. She's sort of like, you know, a living legacy. So I really wanted to make sure to honor that and, you know, to have her know that I am of Russian descent. So at least, you know, that's a little credit. Like, they didn't just get a random, you know, American actress and put her into the role.
And now there's no way that you could have had contact with her or anything like that for this character.
No, not really. I mean, I'm sure, you know, where there's a will, there's a way. And whereas on my end, there arguably was a will, I know that, you know, in the years she testified in the Warren Commission that her husband was guilty. And then immediately when she was done with that for this, you know, course of 50 years, she basically said, my husband was innocent and he's a patsy. And just recently, Lee Harvey Oswald's wedding ring went up for auction for the first time in 40-something years. It was discovered in the office, in the drawer of a lawyer that was helping Marina. And she wrote a 5-page letter, and they didn't release the letter, but a statement that was released. Just one little part of it was that this is a part of my life that it's not in my everyday. I don't want to focus on this anymore. Everyone has to move on. So whereas I would have loved to meet her, I didn't want to disrespect her in any way. And I always thought that if she would like to meet me, that would have to be something of her request, or perhaps her daughters, because she's in her 70s, her daughters are in their 50s, and, you know, I believe she has grandchildren and so on and so forth.
So in the film, we see the relationship between Marina and Lee from meeting and falling in love, and also seeing their struggles. We have a scene from the film that I want to roll this clip, and we can talk about it a little bit afterwards.
Okay.
Let's roll. Your accent's incredible.
Спасибо большое.
Ah! Oh. Wow. And that's something
do the
that
rest of the interview in Russian. Would that be okay?
Can we do that?
No.
I think that would be a hilarious 20-minute interview.
All right.
Yeah.
Like, you would have absolutely no idea what I'm saying back to you, and it'd be good.
So how did you prepare for that role?
Когда я была маленькая, я говорила по-русски.
Absolutely.
И моя мама родился in Russia.
Yeah.
Totally. Right?
Unbelievable.
Oh my God, you dated her too? That's so crazy.
Yeah. She was nuts.
Yeah, and so was he.
So were people surprised that you speak Russian so fluently when you got to the set?
Yes, well, yes, very much so. My mom is actually born in Russia, and I grew up speaking Russian fluently, except I have a better understanding of it than I do speaking it. Speaking it is very, very difficult. There are several different conjugations of the language. There's the masculine, feminine, and the formal and informal. And I just sort of knew grade school conversational Russian. I never knew things like, you know, I have to protect my babies from my husband, and you know, I hope he doesn't shoot guns, and oh my God, my husband killed a man. Luckily, it wasn't
weird, because those are the first steps.
Right,
those are the first sentences
words, like "Mama, Papa, hide your guns."
Yes.
Yeah, no. Well, maybe in some Russian families. But so my mom and I worked quite meticulously to, you know, translate every single line that I had, spell it out phonetically for me so that I had the exact pronunciations, and also just to adjust to how we speak now, which is, you know, slang. In whatever language you speak, English, Italian, Russian, Spanish, we speak a slang that we grew up with, and back then that wouldn't have been appropriate. It's a 1950s housewife would never be like, no, I can't do that. She would be like, I'm so sorry, I'm not able to do that at this time. So everything sort of had to be altered, and my mom was luckily on call 24/7, you know, available to everyone. And the actor who plays Lee Harvey Oswald, Will Rothar, he also would, you know, be like, can you call your mom? They want me to say this thing in Russian. I'm like, he's like, how do you say, where do you find my guns? I'm like, hold on, Mom, how do you say, where do you find your guns? And then I'm like, why do you know that? But it was challenging, but really, really exciting. Also because I memorize in English. So I had to work incredibly hard to remember my line in English, immediately translate it within like a split second in my head, remember the way to say it, and then still try to be in the emotion and spit it out before anyone would realize anything.
Was it fun for you to dive back into this, to sort of dive into your family's past and your past, at least linguistically?
Yeah, I mean, it was really challenging. You know, I know my mom had always hoped that I would do a role speaking Russian because it's just a kind of weird, fun fact. It's a not such a common talent. And I do think speaking languages is a talent. Not saying that I'm like so talented. I'm just thinking general, like people that speak like 7 different languages. I'm like, holy crap, that's amazing. But so it was really great to be able to spend the time with her and you know, put my heart and soul into it.
And this film is based off of Bill O'Reilly's book. Did you meet with Bill O'Reilly at all to talk about your character, or to talk about the project?
No, you know, Bill O'Reilly did visit set, but I was actually in hair and makeup getting my wig on and everything, getting ready for the next scene. So I never met him then. I met him actually just a week or so ago at the Washington, D.C. premiere. And he was a very, very nice man.
You sound like choice words you're using.
No, he's very tall.
Yeah.
He's 6'5", which I didn't expect. It was like, hi, Bill. Well, I'm pretty tall too, and I was wearing big heels. But so it was still cool. I was close to looking him in the eye. I believe he was very supportive of the movie and my work, which is all that I can hope for. But I believe he had notes for the other cast members, but also not very much is known still to this day about Marina Oswald. You know, because it was such a monumental time in history where everything was so beautiful. You know, it was Camelot and everything was idealized and just the picture perfect, you know, American royal family, and all of a sudden that's crushed, and we're all experiencing this at the same time, at the same moment as a country, and then you're given a villain and you demonize him and you vilify him and you don't realize that he has a wife and kids at home. And the information on her is so minimal that I did, you know, I was able to find some of it in Bill O'Reilly's book, of course, also obviously called Killing Kennedy, but I also found another book called Marina and Lee. It was an out-of-print book, and it was the only book that Marina sat down for, arguably her biography.
What were some of the notes that Bill had for other cast members? I'm curious, what sort of artistic notes Bill gives to actors and directors with his extensive experience in the film industry?
Right. Well, I think, well, first of all, I don't necessarily know what he said verbatim, and by necessarily I mean I'm not going to say it. But what he was going for, I don't believe any of his notes were really about acting. It was that he was, you know, so well versed in the research of Kennedy, just like, you know, when he did Lincoln, he really felt himself an expert on Lincoln, and he, you know, just put out Killing Jesus, and, you know, he can speak very intelligently on all of those, you know, people. So I think his notes were very specific, like, you know, JFK really walked with a back brace all the time. So I think it was more factual-based reminders than, like, you know, you should act it this way.
And so you've been acting since you were 3 years old. I'm always fascinated by child stars. You were a child star. You've been in the industry since you were a child. How do you think, how was it for you coming up? We just had Corey Feldman on last week, which is sort of the poster boy for a fallen child star. He's really picked himself up now. And then we had Stephen Dorff on yesterday, who was also a child star. So what was it like for you coming up as a child star? How did you avoid the trappings and pitfalls that a lot of kids fall into?
I think,
if you did.
Yeah, no, I knew. I'm very lucky. I didn't really have pitfalls. I mean, my awkward stages, you know, when my hair was too long and I was a little too gangly, was on Buffy, and it was still kind of fine, even though I still am resentful that there was an episode where I wore yellow corduroy pants. Like, that was awkward. I think, well, first of all, I was raised in a very loving and strict way. My mom was really adamant that, you know, you ever do a drug in your life, I'll kill you with my bare hands. And also, I'm incredibly grateful. I know that there are a lot of little girls, and you know, when I started, there were a lot of little girls in the world that would love to trade places with me. And so any opportunity that I got, I was just like, thank you so much, and I'm gonna do this to the best of my ability. And also, I just never wanted to. First of all, I've never done a drug in my life. It's not something that I think about only when asked these questions. And to me, I value and appreciate my career so much, and this is the rest of my life. This is how I make a living. This is how I pay my bills. This is what I hope to be doing for the next 50 years in longevity. Why would I want to do something to mess it up, to take it all away? Because you're the only person that can really make that happen. Granted, a lot of people, go through the awkward times and are no longer like a, cute kid and everything. I guess I just was very picky on projects, and I arguably got lucky.
Mm-hmm. And you're extremely picky on projects, and you've been a part of some of the greatest television shows of the past sort of 15, 20 years, starting with Pete and Pete, one of your first roles.
Yeah.
Are you still in touch at all with Danny and Michael, Pete and Pete?
No, I actually, when I was doing a cameo in Cop Out, I was in the hair and makeup trailer, and Mike Morona came in. He was actually a grip. They were lighting technician, on the set, and he came in to say hi, so that was really nice. And earlier today, I was doing other interviews. Boo, we don't like other interviews. But he brought up that
he is. This is not a press day for you at all.
I don't know what you're talking about.
This is exclusive.
That's it. This is the only thing. It was a radio interview, and the guy said that he's really good friends with Danny, and said hello from him. So that was nice.
Danny and I actually went to college together.
Did you really?
Yes.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
That's a good time. I've seen Steve Buscemi at events and stuff, and I've seen Toby Huss, but not in years. That was a great time. I still have my compass that I wore.
Really?
I do, and somewhere my cast, although I don't.
What was that set like? Because it's sort of it's a children's show, but almost for older children.
Yeah, it really wasn't for children.
It's sort of adult, but at the same time, it looks like such an incredibly fun environment for children. Like the adults were so zany and silly, but it looks like a child would just have a field day there.
I mean, I was doing what I loved. I was acting. I was on set. That was the most amazing experience to me. Iggy Pop played my dad. Which is amazing.
So lucky.
And I collected, I think back in the day, we all collected those Absolute Vodka ads. Oh yeah, look at that. That was my dog. And that's the first time you ever, I have that compass. It actually is hanging on a memory board in my bedroom. It was my name is Nona F. Mecklenburg. The F stands for Francis, but I want to legally change it to Flame or Forklift. I have a weird elephant memory of that first day because I was super nervous and super excited. And I think I only got the job because I can memorize and speak really quickly. That's my natural hair color.
Oh.
It was a fun time. Oh, I was saying about the Absolute ads. We all collected them. They all had those special ads during Christmas and everything. And Iggy Pop designed one of the ads, and I brought it into set and had him sign it, and I still have it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you have something signed by Iggy Pop.
Kind of do.
You're
yeah.
so lucky.
Oh, thanks.
That's awesome.
I'll sell it to you.
So then you went to Harriet the Spy, which was your first major starring role,
Pete and Pete to do Harriet the Spy.
Yeah. What was that like?
It was great. Wow, this is like, Michelle, where are they now? We were like, this is your life. And that's what I meant. This is your life. Harriet was an amazing experience. I turned 10 the first day of principal photography. And Rosie O'Donnell was just a phenomenal, first, big celebrity that I'd worked with. And a great experience. Our amazing director, Bronwyn Hughes. We all had a lot of fun. It was a good time.
Do you have an opinion about Disney versus Nickelodeon kids?
Well, I started as a Nickelodeon kid, and then as I grew up, I actually, went a little bit into the Disney side with Ice Princess. No, there's a stigma that, Disney kids or Nickelodeon kids can't act outside of, the network. And I would hear that a lot when I would go on other auditions as I got older, like, we don't want any Disney stars. We don't want any Nickelodeon stars. But I think back in my era, Nickelodeon was racier.
Yeah.
Pete and Pete was very racy if you go back and watch it.
It was sort of before people knew what children's content was or had to be and how to market it. And it was still sort of adults trying to entertain themselves while entertain children, right?
Right, yeah. I still am a little bitter about Hocus Pocus because I was definitely up for the role. It was between me and the girl that got it, the one, not Thora Birch, I love Thora, who we would actually go up on auditions together all the time. The girl that gets her soul sucked out of her in the beginning, Thackeray Binks' sister. I was up for that. So
really?
I guess I was too Nickelodeon for Disney at the time.
And you and Thora go on auditions for the same things all the time. Were you?
When we were kids.
Oh, when you were kids. You didn't audition for American Beauty.
No.
Okay.
When we were kids, we sort of looked similar. It was like Harriet the Spy, and she did Monkey something, Monkey Trouble? No, did I make that up? Something. She is a great actress. But when we were kids, we had a very similar sort of look. You know, big eyes, pale. You know, dirty blonde hair.
And talk to me about Buffy the Vampire Slayer. This is a show that people love. It's incredible, the cult audience that this has, and what Joss Whedon has kind of become since Buffy the Vampire Slayer in terms of the cult audience that it has and how people revere him as this sort of modern male feminist for television and movies. Did you have any sense that that was going on around you, that he was establishing these female characters that way when you were that young on the show?
No, I mean, honestly, no. I was 14. So, whereas I was a huge fan of the show before I was on it, and, you know, fought my way into the audition and earned my way onto the show, because Joss is very particular. You know, he's you know, a brilliant creative mind, and it was an honor to be a part of the experience. I definitely learned sort of, you know, it was the school of Buffy. I think that's what helped structure me as a writer today, because I'm also a member of the WGA, and I write, you know, pilots and screenplays and sell them off. It really did teach me, you know, the different forms of being a writer and being an actor, and you know, how to be a professional on set. And it was a great experience, very challenging because it was so detail oriented. And it was great. I mean, listen, people either loved my character or hated my character, and I still hear from people on Twitter like, "You ruined Buffy." I'm like, I don't care what you say. And you know, it was a great time in my life.
Now I'm gonna be honest. My favorite thing that you've done, and I told you this backstage, is Mysterious Skin, the Greg Araki film. How old were you when you did Mysterious Skin?
17. It was right after I wrapped Buffy.
And this was a really racy, LGBT-themed film that was NC-17. Did you have any reservations, or did your parents have any reservations about you doing an NC-17 film?
No, honestly, my mom was the first one to read it, and she was like, "I think this story is beautiful, and you should really, you know, go after this." And at the time, it was actually, to your other question before, the stigma of Nickelodeon Disney kids. I'd gone on a lot of meetings and auditions where they were like, "No, we're not," you know, even still after Buffy, it's like, "We're not hiring, you know, the Buffy girl or this girl or whatever." And I took a meeting at a Starbucks with Greg Araki, and I was just like so deflated from, you know, having had, you know, a lot of rejection in that immediate time frame. And I was like, well, I mean, you're never going to hire Harriet Spy, you're never going to hire Buffy, but honestly, I love your script. It's freaking amazing. And, you know, we started speaking about the character, and, you know, by the end of the meeting, he's like, well, I can't see anyone else in this role but you. And, you know, it's just, everything happened for a reason for that project. Joe Gordon-Levitt was amazing, and Brady Corbett, like, it was just a phenomenal cast, and casted so well with all the actors and the different personalities, and we were all, you know, huddled in tiny miniature honey wagons where literally if one of the boys took a poop, I'd be like, "You guys, I'm literally trying to change and it smells so bad and you're an inch away from me."
I bet they kind of got a kick out of that.
They probably did. They were like, "Ha ha ha, let's go poop and make Michelle really upset about it." I was like, I'm 17, I can't handle this yet.
Our HuffPost celebrity vertical does something called No Filter. We're just going to ask you a couple of quick questions, and you're supposed to answer as quickly as you can with no filter. Do you like my filter? No filter. There you go. So the first one is, when's the last time you cried?
Last night.
Why?
My father passed away recently, and it's around this time as his birthday. So I realized it's today. So I realized that, and it was a good, healthy little, just, you know, honoring his passing.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Thank you. Now you feel like shit.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Sorry.
Feel like
okay,
a
I'm over
dick.
it. I like to make jokes out of awkward situations. Okay, go.
What's your guiltiest pleasure?
Oh, technically it's sex, but bad reality TV.
That's better. No guilt. No sex shaming around here.
Oh, okay. Yes. No. I mean, I stand for it. So.
What's the working title of your autobiography outside of My Guiltiest Pleasure is Sex?
Vodka and Caviar and How I Didn't Fail. An autobiography by Michelle Trachtenberg.
Let's just repeat that.
Vodka and Caviar and How I Didn't Fail.
Okay. What technology do you hope will be invented in the next 10 years?
Oh, flying cars, duh. Did it click, click? Oh, see you, suckers.
I feel like flying cars are the biggest lie science fiction movies and science fiction shows have ever
probably.
told us.
Or like a time machine. Like you know what? There's too many movies about time machines for there to not be like a secret hidden time machine in the vaults of our government. So I just think they need to bring it out and just share it with the world.
And we have a legend coming on this couch right after you. It's Bob Barker. Do you have anything that you want us to ask or anything that you want to say to Bob Barker before he sits down here?
Oh my gosh. I want to know how much his wardrobe cost for the whole year. Did he wear a different suit every time? Is it like more than 100, less than 100, you know?
How much does your wardrobe cost every year?
So, next question.
Michelle, thank you so much for joining me. It was a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you so much.
Guys, you can check out Killing Kennedy, which is airing on the National Geographic Channel this Sunday, November 10th. So then stay with us here on HuffPost Live, where the conversation always continues.